Page 16, Two Military Heroes. These are two different marches, one by Strauss, one by Berlioz. Read the paragraph about it to give you the background on these. So on page 16 you get the Radetzky March, very famous march, we hear it all the time. And on page 17 then you get the Rakoczy March, So let's talk about these. Starting on page 16, this is in the key of D major, two sharps in the right hand. A lot of staccatos. I play these grace notes pretty much with the note very quickly on the beat. You almost have to do a wrist staccato here because it's so quick. This is a fairly quick little march. Frankly, I find it a little strange they would put something this difficult in a book like, I mean, this could easily go in a different book later on, but they've done it here. So we'll just take it a little slow and get it. You go. Just get all the staccatos. And then you have some slurs there in the second line. Second line, last measure, C sharp. Third measure, or third line. That's pretty much it for this one. Look at the last line on page 16. There, you have. If you don't want to put the thumb on the black note, use second finger. It's fine. You don't have to end with second finger on that note. I mean, considering there's an A coming up, second or third or fourth finger on that last note on page 16 is fine. Any of them will work. Don't end on a thumb because you need a thumb again going on. Then on page 17, triplets. The first three beats are at the last measure of the page. On page 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So those triplets at the top of page 17 would beat 4. 4 and a 4 and a 1. Same speed. Again, that grace note, it's almost at the same time on the beat. By the way, this goes into the key of D minor. See, we had D major in one page, D minor in the second. It's appropriate, isn't it? It doesn't show it in the key signature, but it's D minor, take my word for it. They simply done it all with accidentals. But D minor is one flat, but they'll have the accidental in there, but it is in the key D minor, yeah. First line, last measure, F natural, going on. Now, second line, the last two measures, this is a sequence going down, and they've chosen to finger it with fifth finger to start. The sequence starts with a pickup note. It's up. So use the fifth finger on the top one. Except that last one, it's a little awkward. It's good practice for the weak fingers, though. You might try it out. But you could also start with fourth finger. This is more common fingering. It's 4, and then on the second measure it would be third finger. Then 4. Every time you see a 5, it's a 4 instead. But then you get here. You pick the finger and you like, and then pencil it in and stick with it. But each of these sequence items, these iterations, these motifs, finger them all the same, use the same fingering throughout. Then you get down to the third line. They're saying here, I don't like that at all. I would use 2 and 3 on those. These are 2-note slurs, down, up, is all. And then you're back to this beginning again. Fourth line down, last measure, B flat. Again, we got this sequence coming down, and now they are using fourth finger. And then for the last line, second measure, again a 3-2-3-2. The two-note slurs. Just down, up, okay. Left hand's just got the chords to support it, so keep the left hand soft. On page 16, disconnected. Not short, just disconnected. Just a nice light wrist until you get to the half notes. The second line, last measure, half notes. You can disconnect those too if you want. And then third line, second measure, down here. You don't want the thumb on that black note, you have to finger it that way. It's a little awkward, but it's up to you. Then the last line, the second measure, now they give you a staccato. Watch the fingering. 3-1, second measure, 3-1, then 4-2, and then 3-1, then 4-2, and then 5-3. Now, going on, page 17, now we're in D minor. These are staccato, wrist staccato. Except, you see on the last two measures, third line, you have here to start. And then a tenuto over that, so hang on to that one, don't cut it short. And then no staccato on the dotted half notes, just the quarter notes. And then on second line, second measure, disconnect these. Staccato on the third line. Third line, first measure is a little tricky because they got the thumb doing all this. Well, here, you have to work that out slowly. I could offer another fingering, it's just as awkward, so just stick with this one. And that's pretty much it. There's only a little bit of pedal at the bottom, and I suggest you leave it out. You don't need, if that's all you're going to pedal, don't bother. You know, you don't need it to connect. I mean, you don't want to connect it. The right hand between the last note on page 16 and the first note on page 17, you want a little silence in the right hand, so you got to lift up anyway. So don't use any pedal on this, I recommend. So when you go to put the things together, it's sort of soft with a pickup there at the beginning. Remember, we want to hear the right hand. So at the beginning, it's sort of soft here, and then you get down to the third line. The first measure's soft. Now it's loud, and this is important. We want that distinction between these twos. That's the right hand that's loud. Keep the left hand under it. Last line, watch this carefully, the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So you may have to work out on the second and third measure of the last line. Then on page 17, now we're very loud. Now you're soft. Now this is just plain tricky. You're going to have to take this slow here when you go to put the hands together. At the first line on page 17 isn't too bad. Tenuto, hang on to that half note and then go on. Staccato in the left hand. Now here, legato in the right, but you can disconnect the left hand. Then the third line. Now you're very loud again because you were medium soft, more or less, huh? Fourth line down, last measure, you're back to medium soft. Getting louder. Now you're loud. That sforzando in the last measure there on page 17. That's the right hand. So the last two measures. And And there's no fermata or anything. So when you're done with that third beat, get off. 1, 2, 3, off. Right there.
Yeah.
No retard, no nothing. It's just there. I don't know that you need to play with me on this. I guess we could more or less attempt one. I'll just sort of play it slowly so you can hear it. I'm not going to perform it, but it'll give you a chance to at least hear the rhythms and so forth. If you want to play along, go ahead. I'll give me 3 counts to start, because it starts with a pickup beat, and then we'll try it out. If you want to play along, go ahead. Here, here. Okay. 1, 2, and 3, and. Two, three.